Good evening. I'd like to call to order the City of West Bend Plan Commission meeting for December 6th. I'll note that we do have a quorum with Commissioner Dolnick excused and Commissioner Newman just running a little bit late. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, looks like we have about 10 items on our agenda, the first being approval of the minutes, the Plan Commission regular meeting minutes from November 1st.
Motion to approve. Second.
That was Model and Starl. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And first up is development proposals A, conditional use permit. Number 1, CU-22-016, public hearing for the consideration of a conditional use permit to operate a hair salon as a major home occupation at 324 Brookview Drive by Eric and Stacy Meeker. The applicant are them and the agent are the same. We'll start off by a brief presentation by our business and development planner, Jim Reinke. Jim.
Well, good evening, everyone. So Stacy and Eric Meeker have submitted a conditional use permit for a request for a major home occupation located at their residence at 324 Brookview Drive. In accordance with the zoning code, hair salons are permitted as a home occupation, but only upon the issuance of a conditional use permit. The owners have submitted an explanation letter of the operations. They're looking to have the operations from Monday through Sunday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. By appointment. They're also anticipating approximately 2 to 3 clients on an average day, with up to 8 clients per day, which is permitted by the code. They're going to be operating out of one of their rooms, which is 130 square feet. This location and room size does comply with the major home occupation requirements. The building permits would be required for the interior renovations, which they're proposing, which would include the shampoo sink, some lighting, and ventilation. The owner would also like to attach a small sign to the house, which is permitted by code up to 2 square feet, if it would be permitted by their covenants. A sign permit would be required prior to the installation. Off-street parking is also provided within their driveways for their clients. Owners within 200 feet were notified of the public hearing, and staff received 1 comment expressing opposition to the home occupation. Staff would recommend approval of the conditional use with the listed conditions.
Thank you, Jim. And I'll open up the public hearing. If anybody from the public would like to speak on this item, feel free to come on up.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Thank you. It's been motion second to end the public hearing. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Well, I just asked if anybody wanted to speak. That's all right. Would you like to speak on the public hearing? Feel free to come on up. If you could please state your name and address and let us know what's on your mind.
My name is Dodd Foth, and I live at 317 Reeds Drive, so just around the corner. And I'm very supportive of small business. That's not the issue. It's, I guess, not knowing more information about how this could affect traffic in the area, things of that nature, I'm concerned. When we moved into the area, purchasing the home, it was an ideal site because it's a limited access area, very limited traffic, a quiet area, and I guess my wife wasn't able to make it, but our discussions were along those lines, having a concern about how this could impact the general atmosphere in the area, traffic coming and going. I know there was a phone number supplied on the notice. Unfortunately, I did not take advantage of it, so I might have been able to get some of these questions answered that way, but I'll ask them here. I'm also concerned, does this have any impact on, I guess, setting precedent for there to be more situations like this, easier to come into the neighborhood. Again, we're concerned about the atmosphere in the neighborhood changing from really a nice, quiet, residential, limited access area to now becoming more of a business-oriented area. And like I said, I'm very supportive of small business. That's not the problem. It's just being in this area here, it is, very quiet, and we really want to keep it that way. Also, I'm curious, does this have any effect on taxes? I have no idea. Just something that popped into my head, how this could possibly impact property taxes related to either usage on the roads, or what kind of impact it could have changing from does this have an effect on us maintaining the residential status of the area, or does that move us into a commercial, more into that commercial side of the neighborhood? I'm not sure how to word it, but kind of rambled, but those are our concerns.
Thank you. I can answer some of your questions. So the zoning itself doesn't change. It's still a residential neighborhood. There's still residential property. We do grant these conditional use permits, maybe not too often, but they have come before our board before, and we haven't seen any major impacts, when they're granted. Maybe I'll let Jim just touch on the traffic piece, right? The amount of people that are allowed as far as clients and what that would look like.
Sure. So because it is a conditional use permit, our zoning code does limit the amount of customers per day. So by right, they are limited to 8 customers per day. So that is the maximum that they're allowed to have per day. That's why we have the operations letter for this. And according to their operations letter, they would be operating in the confines of what we allow under our zoning code for a home occupation.
Okay. All right. And that's 7 days a week.
Yep, we allow, the code allows, Monday, or essentially Sunday through Saturday for every day of the week.
Yep.
But again, the hours are limited. The code limits it from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., but they're requesting from 9 to 9. And and again, they're doing their stuff by appointment.
And it looks like based on their letter, the amount of clients that they'll be seeing, if I'm reading this right, it looks like only 1 to 2 per time that's there. So that's not going to create, it's not like there's going to be 8 cars, backed up in that residential area. And funny enough, I'll lean on Alderman Model, who happens to be in this industry, and maybe
I was going to ask
shed
if
a
I
little
could.
bit light on this.
I was going to ask if I've been over here going,
See, this is why we appointed you.
Yeah, right.
Go ahead.
I was interested to see this on the agenda. And if they're talking about a maximum of like 8 people a day, I see like 25. I have a salon up in Barton, and I'm a single. I'm the only person that works there. So it'd be a very kind of a similar situation. I mean, it is where I'm at is more of a business area, but I see 20 to 25 people a day, and it has, really zero impact on traffic. And if they're only going to be seeing 8 or whatever, that's nothing. I doubt you will even notice it, to be honest.
And thank you. Great.
Yeah.
Good to know. I guess getting back to something I'd said before, and you might have, my hearing is going. I'm losing high frequencies. I'm getting old. My ears are old, just my ears. But did we talk about concern I had about this making it easier for, like, setting a precedent? Does this have any effect on future changes in zoning or possible that's really one of my bigger concerns. This has no effect on other opportunities for moving towards a zone change in the area. That would never happen.
No, the zoning itself would not change.
And that would not.
That is a residential zoning.
This can be like an incremental
district.
step or anything.
No, we wouldn't be switching over from a residential use to a commercial use in the area. These are strictly incidental and secondary to the principal use to the building.
Great.
So that's why it's limited to the room sizes on how much square footage can be allowed and be used as part of the home occupation.
Yep.
And Jim, is there a limit to how many of these types of permits we can grant in a specific area?
I was kind of wondering that.
Yeah, no, there's no limit. I mean, it's all based on application. And again, our code kind of outlines some of those home occupations that we do allow as a major. home occupation. There are other occupations that don't require permits, like example for, say, personal services. You could offer personal services out of your home. You wouldn't need a conditional use permit for that.
Gotcha.
The conditional use permits are designed for uses that are a little more intensive, but yet are still allowable as a secondary use.
Okay. I'm curious, is signage going to be used in this in any way?
They were proposing or possibly applying for a sign. Our code for major home occupations allows 2 square feet. So basically a 1x2, and it has to be compatible with the house and whatnot.
Not neon blinking?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
They have to be non-illuminated and whatnot.
Okay.
Anything else?
Nope, I think that's it.
Cool.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for speaking. Next up.
I wanted to speak as well.
Yeah. You can please state your name and address for us?
My name is Maureen Donahue, and I live at 330 Brookview, so I am directly next door to the property. And I do have concerns about it. I know that you had shared that you have a business and it doesn't affect traffic. The road will be right in front of my property where people will park. When I bought my home, I was moving from an area that had businesses, and I purposely moved into a residentially zoned area so that I would not have businesses beside me, in front of me, behind me. I also support small business. However, I do not want this next door to me. I have spoke to 2 other neighbors who unfortunately couldn't make it tonight, and they wanted me to express the same things that Todd had shared about it's a quiet neighborhood. We're there for a reason. It is governed by HOA, and specifically our HOA says no signages are allowed. I do have concern about the value of my property. I don't know how I would sell my home if there's a salon operating 3 feet away. So I do have deep concerns about it.
Thank you.
And if I want to sell, I think I would have a hard time selling.
Thanks for your comments.
Thank you.
Jim, just to piggyback off that, what trumps what? Does homeowners association rules trump city ordinances or vice versa? And I guess...
So the city, we're not party to any of the homeowners or private covenants to the subdivision, so we would not have any enforcement through that. So if they would apply for a permit, and if it complied to our requirements, we could issue a permit for it.
Okay.
And it would be a private matter.
Yeah, I was just curious.
Would the association then be able to counter that or not?
Actually, pardon me. Jim is correct. The city would have no choice, but if it complies with ours, to issue the permit. That does not negate what your requirements are within it, but that's a private matter between the homeowners association and the individual. We would have nothing to say about it, and we could not deny it based on your HOA, because we don't.
The concern I have with this is, these are folks just moving into the neighborhood. They are not in the neighborhood yet. I haven't seen them. But I've been there a while, and this will change things for me. And that is a huge concern for me, because I don't want to move. I like the quiet neighborhood. I like how it is. And so when I got this letter, I was upset, and I knew I would have to come and talk. I don't like doing this because I want to be nice with my neighbors, but I also want them to be nice with me. So like I said, I moved there because it's a nice residential area. Thank you.
Understood.
Jim or Mayor, so when we grant the conditional use, if we grant the conditional use permit, does it come back up a year, say there is an issue? Can it get pulled?
So the Plan Commission does have the ability to do, say, a 1-year review, that they could conditionally grant the conditional use permit and require a 1-year review. Say we come back around this time next year, and we re-review the permit if there has been issues, say police issues or any other public issues that have been addressed, to us.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Okay.
That's
I was going to ask if there's any other comments first. Anybody else? All right. Oh, do you want to come on up? If you can come on up to the mic. And just for the record, if you could please state your name and address for us.
Eric Meeker, 324, was at Brookview Drive. I feel funny talking to you when they're the ones that have the questions. Can I?
Don't you
fix
love
them?
public meetings? Yeah, go ahead.
So, yeah, we applied for 9 to 9 just to have the availability of those hours. My wife is not going to be doing this full time. This is going to be a part-time gig. Our plan is to have people parking in the driveway, not on the street, so they won't be blocking your view. We want to keep the neighborhood quiet too. That's kind of why we wanted to come there. But this will be something where, on an average day that she actually works, 3 or so, she'll do like a color person and then maybe bookend that with a haircut or 2. She's probably not going to be doing full time, except maybe like a week or 2 before the holidays when people are trying to get everything in. If the sign is not permitted by the HOA, we'll skip the sign. We were going to put it up if it's permitted. It's not something that is a necessity for it. We have a sign on our house in Port that we're moving out of to here. If we can't put it up, that's fine. We're not going to be advertising the address. It's not going to be walk-in traffic. She would probably love it if most of the people came just from the neighborhood, walking distance. But she's not going to be doing this full-time. Around the year. It's going to be 20 to 30 hours a week after she rebuilds some clientele. Starting out, she's not going to have a lot of people following us from Port to here. So I hope that answers your questions and alleviates some of your concerns.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public who would like to speak on this item?
Move to close public hearing.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. So motion is second. All those in favor of ending the public hearing, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And now I'll open up to the commission.
So, being sympathetic to the neighbors, since there is a little concern, I guess I would like to make a motion to grant the conditional use permit because I think it is not going to be as of a nuisance as it may be thought, but I think we probably should, for the sake of the neighborhood, review it a year from now, just to make sure. So I guess besides staff comments, I would throw that one in.
Sounds good.
I would second that.
Thank you. So motion by Schmidt, second by Starl. Any further comments or questions?
I do have concerns that a lot, if not most of the neighborhood is not really in favor of that. I mean, I have to reiterate, I do 25 people a day, and it really doesn't have much impact. I don't think it's going to have a lot of impact, but I mean, there's really kind of quite a bit of pushback. I think there's more people that would have been here if they could have. So, I don't know. Yeah, I have concerns about that. I think you're addressing them in that.
I'll be honest with you, if it was next to me, my house, I'd want to come back a year from now, and then if there's pushback, if 20 neighbors come or 10 neighbors, then we'll see it. So I do think we should look at it a year from now. I really do. I would have an issue with it myself. I'm not, like I said, I'm not in a business district, I'm in a residential. And I think I agree, we should come back next year, and if they show up, 20 people, and say it's been terrible, then we'll have to readjust it.
Another way to look at it too, and I hope this isn't stepping out of line, but you do have a responsible homeowner applying for a conditional use here. They could have just done it without doing this at all. You know what I'm saying? So there is something to be said for that. So, which often happens.
Anything else from the commission? Then we do have a motion second on the floor, so I'll call for vote. All those in favor of approving as was made, all signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. That passes. Thank you both for coming out. It's very rare that we do these public hearings. We actually have people come and give public comments. So thank you so much for livening up our night. And thank you to you and your wife for investing in our city as well. Thank you.
And we'll see you again in a year.
Better come ready. All right. Next up, we're on to conditional use permits and site plans. We're going to take number 1 and 2 together. So the first one is CU-22-015, public hearing for request to amend the previous conditional use permit to allow for an addition to the screened outdoor storage area in M3 Planned Business Park District at 2805 East Progress Drive by Mark Cangelosi, and the agent is Mackenzie Swartwout. Man, look at these last names. And then the other one is SP-22-021, a site plan for an addition to the screened and paved outdoor storage area in M3 Planned Business Park District at 2805 East Progress Drive, again by Mark and Mackenzie. Jim, let us know what this is about.
Thank you. So back in July of this year, the commission reviewed a conditional use permit for an outdoor storage center or outdoor storage yard at 2805 East Progress Drive. The owner has submitted a request to amend the original conditional use permit to extend the screened and paved area on the site. The requested operations for this proposal is the same as what was originally approved. There's no changes to the actual operations to the conditional use. The reason why we're requesting the conditional use permit for amendment is because the size of the area has actually increased. Originally, the site plan only had the dark gray area was as identified on the screen there, showed the northeast corner to be out due to a wetland delineation that was previously done. That has since been determined to be an artificial wetland, so they actually can develop that area. So this is requiring the new area that's going to be added at that northeast corner to amend the conditional use permit and the site plan. The fencing and the screened area will also be the same. It's going to be an 8-foot chain link fence with the vision slats in it. Fortunately, there was a typo error in the memo from 7. It's actually 8 foot. And again, the area itself is going to be consistent with what was originally approved for the site. Access to the site is still going to remain the same. The driveway that's on the north end has been slightly shifted due to some utility conflicts, so that was changed previously on the previous approval. The site itself will also require a stormwater pond. So the pond will be located at the northwest corner of the site. Everything will drain to that and then discharge to the ditch lines in the industrial park to the regional ponds that we have there. Staff would recommend approval of both the conditional use amendment and the site plan with the listed conditions.
Thank you, Jim. So first off, we'll start with the public hearing for the conditional use permit. If anybody from the public would like to speak on this item, feel free to come on up.
Move the public hearing be closed.
Thank you, Fleischman and Newman. All those in favor of ending the public hearing, so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And then I'll look for a motion to that effect.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Model and Newman. Any discussion on the site? On the conditional use permit.
I have some items
Okay.
that relate to both the conditional use and the site plan. I know they're intertwined, but it's about the stormwater management.
Okay.
So we did the review of the documents that were submitted. We sent comments out. I believe the applicant is in the process of revising their design. The facilities as shown on the site plan were determined to be not adequate by the engineering department. So once they do the revisions, the plans may change. I don't know what revisions they may choose to do. That might mean that they increase the size of the pond that they have there, or they may choose to go the route of underground storage or treating chambers or anything like that. But I wanted to point out that we may see some substantial change to the plan once they review their stormwater management plan. So I just wanted to emphasize that if we go through with the approval, it would be under the condition that everything, the site plan would match the requirement of the stormwater management plan. That's all I have.
So, Max, are you saying we need to add an additional condition to that effect?
I think under the conditional use, there's a requirement of the approval of a site plan, and then the site plan condition lists approval of the stormwater management plan. So I guess
It's covered under
yeah, it's tied
Okay.
one into the other.
Yeah, in addition, on item 2 of the site plan contingencies, it does have, and any revisions of the stormwater management approval.
Yeah, but I wanted to, because it says minor technical issues, I wanted to make sure that we understand that with the stormwater, it might not be minor. It might be something else, but it depends on their design. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll leave the motion as it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good. Anything else? Then all those in favor, so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And we're on to the site plan for the same. If I could have a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Newman and Model. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none. All those in favor, so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And once again, we're going to take 3 and 4 together. Number 3 is CU-22-017, a public hearing for a request for a conditional use permit to allow for an egress landing and stairs in the Flood Fringe Overlay District located at 271 South Main Street by Chad Goeman. The applicant is Chad of CRG Real Estate, and the agent is Peter Damsgaard of Groth Design Group. And number 4, SP-22-019, a site plan for exterior renovations by the building facade and constructing stairs on the east side of the building at 271 South Main Street by Chad and Peter once again. Jim.
Thank you. So the conditional use permit request is actually for work within the floodplain area. This is to allow for a structure to be placed within floodplain. The structure itself will actually be a staircase that would provide egress to the lower portion of the building. The staircases will be floodproof by anchoring it to concrete foundations. The staircase will also allow for floodwaters to move freely in and out, and it is anticipated that the staircase design will not cause any kind of flood elevation changes. Again, as part of the conditional use, a public hearing has been set, notifications were sent out to everyone within 200 feet, and staff received no inquiries regarding the conditional use permit. The site plan itself, which is a component of the conditional use permit, is proposing exterior building renovations. This would include the staircase on the east side of the building, and then also on the west and north sides of the building. They are proposing to close up a few openings on the north side of the building and masking those over with the siding and matching the building with that. On the west side of the building, they are proposing to do window changes, making some size changes to the windows, and then also replacing the existing window on the southern half of the building with a aluminum glass overhead door for access into the building. As a part of that, they're also identifying some outdoor seating area. This would occupy the right-of-way and would require a permit from the clerk's office to permit that outdoor seating. The plan did identify permanent fencing around the area. Typically, we wouldn't do permanent type structures within our right-of-way, so staff would recommend that the fencing be removed accordingly in accordance with our standards that we have for that. Staff would recommend approval of the site plan with the listed conditions along with the conditional use permit with listed conditions.
Sounds great. So first off, this is a public hearing. If anybody from the public would like to speak on this item, feel free to come on up.
Motion to close.
Second.
Thank you, Schmidt and Model. All those in favor of ending the public hearing, so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And then I'll look for a motion for the conditional use permit.
I'll motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Schmidt and Newman. Any discussion or questions on this?
Yes. Me again.
Yep, go ahead.
So again, with the two items being intertwined, this would apply to both of them. I would like to add a condition that they need to submit a revised site plan without the items in the road right away. I don't want to have any confusion in the approval process. The use of city right-of-way is not approved under site plan process. It should be either grant of privilege if there's a temporary proposed private improvement, or if it's a licensed cafe, they need something from the clerk. But I don't want to have any confusion with, this is my approved site plan and it shows clearly that I have the right to be in there with my fence and everything. So for both of those, the conditional use permit and the site plan, I will add a condition that we need to have a revised site plan showing no improvement in the right-of-way, and we can approve that site plan as the final site plan.
Are you talking about this outdoor seating area?
Yes, I'm talking about the outdoor seating area and the permanent fence.
Because it kind of way overlaps, isn't it?
But it says right here that it will require a permit from the clerk's office. Isn't that what you're trying to accomplish anyway, Max?
So this addresses the license, but this site plan is clearly showing a permanent fence in
like 7 feet out of the right of way, isn't it?
in the right of way, and one of the condition of approval says all site improvements shall be installed in accordance with an approved site plan. And so if we approve this site plan as it is, that means we're approving the fence, and I don't want to have that confusion, so that's why I would like a revised site plan without the items in the right of way. Like I said, any use of the city right of way needs to be approved under a different process, so I don't want any confusion with that.
Okay. So you're okay with approving it, just taking out that seating area you're talking about?
Yes, they would need to submit a revised site plan
Yeah.
without anything they put in the right of way, the seating area and the fence.
Okay. Is that okay as a friendly amendment? I'm sorry, who made the motion? Was it Schmidt? Yeah. Yeah. You fine with that? Or?
Yeah, that's fine. We
Okay.
can-
Yeah, yeah.
Sounds good?
Yeah.
Sure. Come on up. Do you mind introducing yourself quick?
Yep, Peter Damsgaard, N58W6181 Cedarburg, Columbia Road, Cedarburg. Just for clarification, that we're happy to remove that. I don't think it says anywhere that that's a permanent fence. We just need a demarcation. It just says fence, so semantics maybe, but we're happy to remove that. I guess for clarification, do we need to come back to the Plan Commission, or can we have that removed and approved through the staff?
We would be able to handle that administratively. It's a condition of the approval. So as long as your revised plans meet the conditions that we have in the approval, it's fine. We do it at staff level.
Perfect.
The approval for the fence, whether it's temporary or whatever, would follow through either the cafe seating license or an extension of premise process separate from the site plan.
Perfect.
But revision of the site plan doesn't have to come back.
Okay, thank you.
You're pointing that out, Max. Yeah.
Right. And Commissioner Fleischman.
Very excited about the improvements to the facade on this building. I am wondering, and I'm sorry if I missed it, I'm wondering about the shed and the fence attached to the shed and if they are part of the improvements.
Those are actually on a different parcel. That's the parcel to the north.
Oh, interesting. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I could probably weigh in on that. I actually own that parcel. So, I mean, that was one of my concerns, is where that property line is, because I haven't surveyed that parcel, but I figured I would handle that with Chad. Sure. So, not a big deal.
Okay.
And I don't know if you guys have surveyed that parcel yet.
No, we're not. We can talk offline.
Yeah, I'll let you guys have your conversation outside of our meeting, so that's fine.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? And seeing none, I'll call for a vote. This is just on the conditional use permit, so all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Then I'll look for a motion for the site plan.
Motion approved with condition.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions on that? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Also happy to see this improvement. That's
Yeah,
awesome. Thank you.
For real. Yeah.
It'll look good, just so you know.
All right. Next up, we have another two in tandem together. We're going to take 5 and 6 together. So first one is number 5, which is CU-22-014, a public hearing for a conditional use permit to allow for stairs from a deck and other site improvements in the Flood Fringe Overlay District located at 247253 South Main Street by Tom Zernia of DBL Down LLC. He is the applicant and the agent is Kevin Parrish of Parrish Survey Engineering. And SP-22-016, a site plan for exterior renovation by the building facade and site improvements at 247 South Main Street by Tom Zernia. The applicant is Tom and the agent is Kevin. Jim.
Thank you. So this proposal is for conditional use again. We're working within the floodplain district for some of the improvements, which would include deck supports, patio, and some landscaping and minor site grading within the flood fringe area. The code requires permits to be issued, or a conditional use to be issued for structures within the flood fringe and with any kind of work in that district. So the plan would be again to construct the deck supports for the main level in the rear of the building, off of the main level for the commercial unit, along with 2 apartments on the 2nd and 3rd floors of the building. The improvements also would include some landscaping that would be placed in there to soften up the effects of the area along that riverfront. Again, property owners within 200 feet were notified of the public hearing, and staff received no inquiries regarding the conditional use permit. The site plan itself has also been submitted. The site plan is for building renovations, which includes the deck and the landscaping within the parcel. The site grades have and drainage patterns have been maintained in accordance with the site plan that's being proposed. The site plan also identified a concrete stoop with a handicap ramp along the west side of the building. A grant of privilege was previously applied for and was denied due to the improvements being a permanent feature within the right-of-way, which typically is not permitted under our code for permanent improvements within our right-of-way, because it hinders the use of our right-of-way for future expansions and work within it. The architectural building elevations that were submitted were just architectural renderings that we had. They did not have any detail for building materials and colors, and it also did include the facade change on the west side, which included all the improvements within the right-of-way, which have been previously asked to be replaced. Staff reviewed the project as it was submitted. We would ask that the commission defer the action on the site plan for the improvements based on with the removal of the improvements within the right-of-way to be reflected in revised plans, and then also revise the plans to provide us the building elevations and update the renderings to reflect that. So staff would recommend that the Plan Commission defer action on this until those corrections have been made, and that the conditional use would be approved, since the improvements for the conditional use and on the site plan were not affected by the stuff on the west side of the building.
All right. Well, we'll start off with a public hearing for the conditional use permit. If anybody from the public would like to speak on this item, feel free to come on up. If you please state your name and address, and then let us know what's on your mind.
I'm Mackenzie Swartout. I'm with PSE. We're at 122 Wisconsin Street, West Bend. I understand that you can only speak on what we have submitted for the December meeting. We have revised our plans, including all the architectural elevation drawings and everything, to have all the ADA access interior. So we submitted that. Hopefully it'll be able to be presented on the January meeting, but it is understood that these, the plans you're looking at right now with the ADA ramp are not acceptable within the right of way, and we're making changes accordingly, so.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you. It's not easy standing up here, right? Anybody else from the public would like to speak on this item? Then I'll look for a motion.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Thank you, Model and Starl. All those in favor of any of the public hearings, so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And then we'll look for a motion on the conditional use.
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. I heard Newman, who was second. Thank you, Schmidt. Any discussion on this? Hearing none. All those in favor, so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And then the recommendation for the site plan is to defer action or postpone. Sounds like you're okay with bringing that back in January, so, correct? Okay. All right. And I'll look for a motion to that effect. I guess to
So
table.
moved.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Model
As
and
As
Newman,
it sits,
yes.
it just leaves too much open to interpretation. Is that, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Any further discussion or questions on that? And seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thanks for coming out. And we're on to certified survey maps. Number 1, CSM-22-003, a 3-lot certified survey map to redefine the lands for future development at 1690 through 1760 South Main Street by Corta West Bend LLC. The applicant is Cory Presnick of Corta, and the agent is the same. And this goes along with the final one, which is CSM-22-018, a 1-lot certified survey map to redefine lands for future development located on the west side of South Main Street, approximately 300 feet south of the intersection of South Main Street and Butternut Street by Cory Presnick. The applicant is Cory of Corta, and the agent is the same. Jim.
Thank you.
Who writes these?
I try to be concise. So the Plan Commission back in October of this year approved a 4-lot CSM. The location map that I have showing up there shows the original configuration of the area that was being reconfigured into the 4 lots. The developer is requesting to separate the 4-lot CSM into 2 separate CSMs for ownership and other legal purposes. The revised CSM, the first one that is a 3-lot CSM that includes the renovated Shopko parcel that has recently been done, along with creating the front lot 1, which is for the Taco John's that the commission reviewed, and then also lot number 2, which is also the 7 Brew parcel. So this CSM would actually create these three lots. Again, consistent with the previous, but just removing the northern portion. Access and everything would remain the same. Traffic impact analysis has been submitted and approved by the engineering department now for that. So staff would recommend approval of that certified survey map with the listed conditions. The second certified survey map that we're discussing is the northern portion. This is a portion that used to be the old commercial tenant where the Foot Doctor used to be, along with the portion of the parking lot to the north that the Brixmore Company owns. So this CSM is actually combining those 2 parcels to create a new parcel for development. Again, the access for this lot would be either from Main Street or possibly from within the development to the west. And again, this CSM was part of the traffic impact analysis, which was approved by the engineering department, and is also contributing to stormwater, which has been included as part of in the stormwater management plan for the original 4 lots, which is now the 3, or which is now the 2 separate ones. So staff would recommend approval of the CSM also with the listed conditions.
Thank you, Jim. And so I'll look for a motion for the first certified survey map.
Motion approved.
Second.
Thank you, Model and Starl. Is there any questions or comments on this one? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And then I'll look for the same on the final one.
Second.
Thank you. Give that to Fleischman and Newman.
Just so you know, it looks great what they did there so far.
Yeah.
Okay, really,
For sure.
compared to having an empty building. And,
Oh, yeah.
It's a really home run.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Anything else? Then all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And then having no further business for the Plan Commission, I adjourn by the call of the chair. Have a great night.
Thank you.